Okay, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you for everyone who's joined us so far this bright afternoon slash evening. If you're here for this meeting, we're here for the new homes for the near North Side. It's July 19th, and this presentation is being recorded and is split in roughly two halves. In the first half, we'll be presenting some information on some potential developments that the city of Houston is doing that will result in new homes for the near North Side. And then the second half of this presentation will actually shift from presentation mode to a facilitated conversation with the community members who have joined us here tonight. So we are excited that you're able to join us. We know it takes, after a long day, it takes a lot of energy and effort to partake in conversations like this. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. And with that said, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to my colleague, Jean Gould, to do the introductions and set out the opening steps of our presentation. Jean?
Evening. Thank you, Jeremiah. And welcome as Jeremiah, just kind of dovetailing off what Jeremiah's welcome. Thank you to everyone for joining us here this evening. We know you guys have a busy schedule. Let me turn on my video. Sorry about that. And do appreciate everybody taking the time out of their day. Jeremiah, you want to move to the next slide, please?
Oh, I did. Sorry, everyone. We're started our first technical first technical issue of the night right off the bat. So let's just get it out of the way real quick, and we'll fix that right up. Sorry, everyone. Give me a second. It's better to get out of the way now than have it go in the middle.
Hello, this is Councilmember Cisneros. I'm on by phone. I could not find the Teams connection for this meeting.
Ellery, can you send the council member the Teams link?
Of course. Yes, of course.
Great, thank you.
It appears that we're all fixed, Jeremiah. Is anything else? Looks like the technology is working.
Nope. Take it away, Jane. Sorry about that, everyone.
Oh, thank you, thank you. And so just getting back, appreciate everybody joining us here this evening. And just, I did want this slide to be shown. It is not just certainly the city, the Houston Housing and Community Development Department is in the lead, which is who I work for. As Jeremiah said, my name is Jean Gould. I oversee policy and communications for the department. And we have the opportunity for these developments in the near North Side to be partnering with. We always do things in partnership on this development. We have got the Houston Land Bank, which is represented here tonight by Ann Hayes, as well as Alexander Miller, who is with us from Asakura Robinson, and they are a consultant on this project. And besides that, we've also got the strong involvement and leadership with the council member Cisneros, who has joined us. And council member, can I pass it over to you for some few opening comments and to kick us off?
Yes, well, thank you. And thank you everyone for being here this evening. I just wanted to really express my gratitude to the community members who are seeking information and for the, and your interest and, and wanting to really completely understand and have input into this process. It's very important that we hear from you. And I wanted to say thank you to the housing department who's been so open and willing to meet and to extend the input period and to have arranged so many meetings. I really am very, very grateful for that, and I think we'll get a much better product because of all the voices we're hearing from. I'm in support of this project. I think it's really important to have home ownership, affordable home ownership opportunities in the near North Side. And there are a lot of new projects that are coming in that are not controlled by the city at all, that are very expensive, and gentrification is a huge concern, and it's more than just wanting an apartment to live in. People want to own, their own homes too. So I'm very grateful, that we have as a city an opportunity to provide that to people who want to be homeowners and of affordable properties in the near north side.
Thank you, Council Member Cisneros. And as the council member alluded to, we have extended the public engagement period through the month of, or through most of July. We closed on Wednesday, the 21st. This is our last meeting, and so we're hoping for strong engagement and feedback from input from those of you on the call this evening. I do want to extend our apologies for kind of the last minute change. We had been hoping and planning on this event being in person as well as virtual, but there was, I guess, some last minute construction ongoing at the facility we were going to be using. So unfortunately, we had to switch this to all virtual, but we've had great engagement through virtual meetings that we've already conducted. So again, looking for a good engagement tonight. And let me just back up and introduce kind of the department that I work with, that Jeremiah and others that are here from the city. Our mission, the Housing and Community Affairs Department, Community Development Department, our goal, our mission is to help make investments in Houston to help build a more equitable city by creating safe, resilient, and affordable homes. This is our mission, and this is what brings us into the near north side. We've got developments that have already taken place, and so we're looking to continue to build homes that are part of the community, part of the fabric. And so to do that, what we really need is to get your input, your thoughts on these developments on a variety of issues. And so it's kind of, we speak about this and really what makes a home in the community in the near north side, makes it a home. And so that's what we're going to be looking for in this discussion. Tonight, we've had great conversations from through other programs, and and in addition to some input on the website that we'll be discussing. We still, even though this is our last meeting, there is time for the next couple of days for people to continue to provide input through what we call our social pinpoint, which you will be seeing tonight if you're not already familiar with. And so before I kick it back to Jeremiah and some of the kind of presentations to kick us off, just some housekeeping. Please make certain that you keep your microphone muted if you're not talking, just to minimize background noise. The chat box, we use that. Please add comments in there. We monitor that, and we'll be, as I say, monitoring that and bringing that into the discussion, especially when we get into the second part of this program. So we've built plenty of time in our agenda to get your input. And so look forward to seeing, reading, and hearing that. So with that, I'm going to kick it back to Jeremiah.
Thank you, Jean, and thank you, Council Member Cisneros, for that introduction and for kicking this off. And I think setting it up for a great conversation in just a few minutes. So we're going to go through today's agenda. When we first started, I mentioned this is split in half. So these 3 bullet points that we're looking at here, and I realize some of the folks maybe not have this in front of them. They might be calling in. So I'm going to be reading this a little more word for word than normal. So bear with me, those of you that have the screen up in front of you. But this is the agenda for the first half of our meeting. There's 3 bullet points. The first thing we'll discuss is the project background, which is understanding upcoming development opportunities on 2 different sites and then near north side. The second item is community engagement. And so this is where we are currently in the process and how we can use your help to further inform the project. And then finally, in the first half of this meeting, number 3, key questions. And this will be key areas of feedback to inform developers' proposals for these sites. So we're going to go right into it and talk about the project background a little bit. So homeownership programs. Again, I'm going to read a little more than usual, but for those of you that are looking at this, a reminder, a lot of this language will probably sound familiar to you if you've been involved in the Complete Communities outreach and all the work that has gone on there. This language is we were very intentional in making sure that this language aligns with what residents of the near north side had been communicating throughout the Complete Communities housing goals and other goals that that we were hearing from you in that process. There's this slide. The first is home ownership, which is creating new homeownership opportunities for residents of the near north side. The second broad bucket is to meet community needs. So matching new homes to the needs of current residents of the near north side. And then finally, and not least important, all these tie together, making sure that these homes are hitting a variety of incomes, so that these homes will be available for a variety of incomes is a better way of framing that. So this will be the development to provide affordable home options for low to moderate income households and market rate options for anyone to become a homeowner in the near north side. So this slide shows where we are in the new home development process. It's 5 broad steps. The first of which is developing the development sites haven't been identified, which they have been, and we're going to go over what those sites are in a few slides. We're currently in step 2, which is gathering community feedback. And the feedback that we hear from you today is going to lead directly to step 3, which is an issue to notice of funding of availability to developers, or NOFA for short. So what the NOFA is a playbook for potential developers to follow when they're going to submit their proposals to the city. We, the city of Houston, will then specify what we'd like to see from these proposals, things like number of homes, the look and feel of those homes, things to put into shared green spaces, pretty much anything you can think of. And so what we're going to do is take as much of your feedback as we can and incorporate it into that NOFA. The way the process works typically is that we'll have numerous developers will respond to that NOFA. They'll submit proposals to develop the 2 sites that we'll discuss in just a few minutes. And then from that point, we at the city will review the developers' proposals and then assess them based on how well each of their proposals meets the criteria. So once a developer, the next step, step 4, from there, a developer will be selected and homes be built. And apologies in advance for those of you that can hear my cat Ollie. He is very passionate about homes to the near north side, and he's in the background meowing right now. Step 5 will be, of course, the exciting part, right? So a developer was chosen in step 4, but in step 5, that is when we sell new homes to residents. And by we, that's a process we can talk about. That's won't be the city of Houston, but that will be in partnership with the chosen developers. So doing a little bit more of a deep dive into the community engagement piece, which we are currently in and is winding down, as Jean mentioned. We started off this process with a city kickoff focus group, and that was with senior leadership across multiple areas of the city of Houston. From that meeting, where we made sure that everyone was mostly on the same page, we had a community leaders focus group of the near north side. And so those near north side leaders helped us think through how we should, for example, how many meetings we should have, where we should post signs, and things like that to consider. So that leadership team really helped frame the outreach we've done since then. And now we're in step 3, which is the public engagement period. So Jean mentioned this began in June, specifically June 3rd, and is wrapping up on July 21st, which is Wednesday. And what we did during that time frame is we held virtual and in-community comment periods. So hybrid meetings, full virtual meetings, and opportunities for in-person meetings as well. And so what we're going to do next week is have a community recap session on July 29th. So that's next Thursday. So what we're going to do at that meeting is we're going to take all your feedback that we've heard so far, and with our partner at Secure Robinson, we'll talk through what that feedback was and present it back to all of you at a very high level. So we're all have that baseline understanding of what we heard from you in the over the almost 2 months period since we began. So for those of you that are joining us on the phone, this slide is a map of both sites, what we are calling the north site and the south site. The north site is currently used as parking and maintenance for the Yellow Cab Company. And the south side is currently vacant and is right next to the Burnett Transit Center on the Metro Red Line. And again, for those of you on the phone, the next 2 slides will be mostly pictures. This slide is overhead GIS map of the north site, the 3 specific lots by where Yellow Cab is, and then a street picture of Yellow Cab. And then this slide is of the south site, where you can see again the overhead GIS map, how this particular map goes through, runs along Burnett Street and Fulton Street to give you that context of the sites we're talking about, and of course borders that metro station. And with that, we're going to go ahead and talk more about community engagement, and this is where I'm going to hand it to our partner Nasakira Robinson, Alexandra Miller. Alex.
Thanks, Jeremiah. So we'll just hop over to the next slide here, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the engagement process. So Jeremiah has already told you about some of the key meetings that have been held throughout this process, but we've had a couple other ways of informing the community as well that we at Oscar Robinson have worked on with the city. So we've first and foremost, we've been talking to community partners, and that includes everyone who's here on this call today. We think of as a partner who can work on informing and spreading the word about this project and making sure we get as much input as possible. And so I think we've definitely seen folks who are hearing about it from others in the community and able to join one of these meetings or contribute via our website using the information they're getting from other community folks. So we do encourage you. This is actually our last week of feedback. We're going to be closing some of our social pinpoint and preparing for a final report on the 21st, which is coming up in just a couple days. So if there's anyone you can think of that we haven't heard from so far, please do make sure that you're sharing the information with them about how to contribute. We've also been using signage as a way to try and stimulate feedback. So there's been large banners posted on the actual site to make sure that folks in the neighborhood who live nearby have an opportunity to see those and contribute. And also been signs put up throughout the neighborhood on meeting days when we're having in-person meetings to try, at major intersections and other places to make sure people have a chance to see those and hopefully, stop by the meeting either virtually or in person. And finally, the city, the Housing Community Development folks have been putting updates on their social media as well to make sure that folks have information about how to join these meetings and how to give other input. So one of the other ways we have to give input beyond these meetings is a website called a Social Pinpoint website. This is accessible through the Housing Community Development website, and we'll show you how to get there in just a minute. But some of the great things about this website are it's bilingual. We thought that was very important to have an English and Spanish website for the community and then your north side. It has 3 different ways of giving feedback, so you can use any and all of them depending on how you're most comfortable or how your feedback fits best. There's a map tool to talk about putting some ideas on the map. There's a survey that has some key questions, and then there's an ideas wall where you can post things like your ideas, pictures, things you're excited about, concerns that you may have. And the whole thing is mobile friendly. So what we know is that even when folks, may or may not have great internet at their house, most people do have access to a smartphone. And so it was really important to us to have a website option that was mobile friendly and could be used on a smartphone. So these are some of the aspects of the website. There's the map and survey component. You can see you can kind of drag those icons onto the map to make comments. And then the ideas wall, where you can see there's options to leave a comment or a picture, to have different categories for your comment about things you like or excited about, or things you may be concerned about, or just questions you have. So that gives you another way to give feedback. And now I think Jeremiah is going to do a quick demonstration of the social pinpoint.
Yes, thank you, Alex. Give me just a moment, everyone, to pull that up. Be just a second. Okay, so I think unless there's been another technology issue, what everyone should be looking at is our landing page for this community engagement process, new homes for the near north side right here. And so if one of my colleagues in the city can go ahead and put the link to that here, in the chat box. That way you'll have access to it. But this is just a little more background information about the two sites in particular that we already went through. Here you can see the upcoming meetings, of which we only have the wrap-up meeting, but we do want to emphasize again that you can join us on July 29th to hear the feedback, the summarized feedback that we've been collecting from the community over the last almost 2 months. Again, a little more information, but what we really wanted to show you was on this site, now that we're coming down to the end of public engagement period, there's a link to the social pinpoint site here at the bottom, and then here up top. I've already preloaded it, so this is what it looks like in real time. And as Alex said, it's as simple as clicking and dragging to leave your feedback for us at the city. So if you see up here up top, I'm going to go slow because I realize sometimes there's a little bit of lag. I just clicked this icon here, I'm dragging it, and now I've dropped it, and you'll see this box pop up, and all you have to do is leave your comment, your email address, click the I agree button, and then this green box will pop up and you'll be able to hit add comment, and that's as simple as that. And just to show you what it looks like, I'm just going to zoom in. These are all comments that other folks have left in the past. So I'm choosing this comment not as an endorsement, but just to show you what a kind of fully interactive post looks like. So this person left a comment, for example, and then they actually use their phone, like Alex mentioned, to upload a picture to kind of give support to their feedback about keeping about how important the view is at this particular site. And then you can see that 2 people have left comments, which I'm not going to pop up, but you can pop up and read what other people have said. And you can also like or dislike comments that are there already. So even if you don't have a specific comment off the top of your head in terms of the 2 sites and developing them, you can take a look at what other people have left and interact that way with either agreeing or disagreeing through the buttons, or maybe adding a secondary comment or picture. And then over here, you can see that there's a survey tool, like Alex mentioned. All you have to do is click again, and it pops up this box here on the left. There's a few questions, both in English and Spanish, that you can leave your feedback in, and then you leave your email, the agree button, submit, and the survey is sent to us. And then finally, we have the ideas wall. So this will be an additional click. So you'll click here, and then the idea wall is in one more click, and it will look fairly similar look and feel to a Facebook wall. These are comments people have left. You can't respond to the comments, but you can like and dislike. You can also leave photos. And if you'd like, then just to go back to the map in case you think, oh wait, I do have a picture of an example or whatever the case may be. You can click map here and then map to get back to the social pinpoint. So it's pretty intuitive, and we want to stress that even though this is, again, the last in-person meeting or virtual meeting, that you do have time through the 21st to leave feedback. And so share this link with friends and family that you think might want to give that feedback to. So I'm going to pull the presentation back up, and then I'll hand it back to Alex in just a moment.
All right, thanks, Jeremiah. Let's hop to the next slide here. So this is the last thing, just repeating, please do share, spread the word. This is our last couple days of input, and we want to make sure as many people can have input as possible. So the link to the project website and social pinpoint is shown on this slide, and Jeremiah, I think, is also going to be posting it in the chat, or someone will be. I think, and then there's a final wrap-up community meeting that's happening on the 29th. And information about that will be shared with you by email if you've registered for this meeting. So then the last thing we want to go over is some of our key questions for today. So we have 5 key questions or ideas we want to talk to you all about as we think about work, kind of putting together the NOFA for this project, the ask for developers to actually put the community's feedback into their plans for the sites. The first one is thinking about designing in context. And so for this question, what we really want to think about is what characteristics really give a near Northside home its look and feel? What are some of the common factors between the different types of homes that we have, whether they're, homes with detached home with large yards or townhomes or duplexes or fourplexes? Do they all have color? Do they have trees? Do they have a certain kind of feel to them that really makes them feel like they belong to the neighborhood. We want to make sure we can incorporate some of those things in the ask of developers. So then the next slide, density and good design. So one of the things that we really want to do with this project is think about, what does homeownership really look like? And how can we think about different ways in which we can add some additional homes on these sites so we can benefit as many families as possible while still remaining proportionate with the neighborhood and making something that feels like it really fits in. And what I mean by that is that these sites are in the near North Side, which is a really fantastic location. It's right by downtown. You can commute to a job very easily. And so a lot of the land in near North Side is really going up in price. And we also have increasing construction costs over the last year that have been caused by COVID and a variety of other factors that have just meant it's hard to get like building materials and labor for construction. And so between those two things, it's really hard to build affordable housing in places that are really well located, like the near North Side, without trying to do something that's going to benefit a few more families, right? Where you're kind of able to divide the cost between more homes. But what that means is you're able to benefit as many families as possible without looking at something that's, really out of scale with the neighborhood. So how do we kind of think about things like the neighborhoods that you see on the right? Not exactly these, but something similar where we have townhomes or smaller, fourplexes or sixplexes that still look like they belong to the area and can be something that really fits in while housing some more families and letting more people have the benefits of homeownership. So then the third idea is designing for connection. So what kinds of things do residents need access to? How do we build connectivity into these developments, like, larger sidewalks or bike lanes and connections to other bike lanes, to local assets like transit. We know one of these developments is right next to the transit center. So thinking about how do we really build that connection into these developments and what are the things we should be thinking about there. Designing communal spaces is another idea. So, we know that we have green space requirements when it comes to larger developments in Houston, and that's a policy established by the city to make sure that, everybody has access to green space. But there are some green spaces that may or may not have the same kind of value as others to the community. So trying to think about, do we want just sort of a very passive green space with not a lot going on? Or do we want something that has shade, that's maybe, got art or benches, that's really well designed and forms a connecting space for the community? And then if we go to the next slide here. So this is an example of a communal space that's in a development called Sunnyside Gardens in Queens in New York. And you can see we have kind of these townhomes on either side. We have a nice shady green space in the middle that really forms a place where you can potentially hang out and connect. Now, there may be more you could do with a green space like this. Maybe you could add a bench or, a couple benches or a picnic table, additional spaces. But this gives you an idea of kind of what's possible in these types of developments. And then we have comments and questions. So those are our big questions for today. And I think Jeremiah is going to take you through the next steps.
So with that said, everyone, thank you one last time for joining us. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll be seeing you next week.